An artist's duty, as far as I'm concerned, is to reflect the times. I think that is true of painters, sculptors, poets, musicians. As far as I'm concerned, it's their choice. But I choose to reflect the times and the situations in which I find myself. That, to me, is my duty. And at this crucial time in our lives, when everything is so desperate, when every day is a matter of survival, I don't think you can help but be involved. Young people, black and white, know this. That's why they're so involved in politics. We will shape and mold this country, or it will not be molded and shaped at all anymore. So I don't think you have a choice. How can you be an artist and not reflect the times?
The spirit of life is almost non-existent in the perceptual reality of the society that we're in. It's almost non-existent. They got religion, they got civilization, you know, they got military, they got politics, they got all education, they got all the stuff, but they don't have the spirit to live.
I want you to listen to this man speak. His name is John Trudell.
I'm a member of the American Indian movement, and I'm from the indigenous nations of the Western Hemisphere. As the indigenous people, we have watched this thing happen on our hemisphere. We have seen what has happened. We have seen them come in and confuse and attack. We understand that the issue is the land, the issue is the earth. We cannot change the political system. We cannot change the economic system. We cannot change the social system until the people control the land, and then we take it out of the hands of that sick minority that chooses to pervert the meaning and the intention of humanity.
You look like you're in a studio, maybe in Omaha, Nebraska or something. The shot is so clear. Is this a hoax? Are you really in space still?
And anxiety in the Western civilization and culture stems from the origin of that culture, which rests most fundamentally in the production of albino mutants from the black parents in Africa. Anxiety, like alienation in Western culture, is the result of the rejection of these albinos because of their genetic deficiency status and their subsequent abandonment and migration northward to form what is now recognized as the white race. This global white collective maintains a different appearance from the rest of humankind, and they dislike this difference. Therefore, they tan and use makeup. They remain a minority of the world's people, surrounded globally by black, brown, red, and yellow global majority. The white global collective remains genetically recessive to the black, brown, red, and yellow global majority, and lives each day and each minute of every hour in a continuous fear of white alien annihilation by the global majority of genetic dominance. This fundamental fear of albino isolation, abandonment, and genetic annihilation is at the core of Western civilization, a civilization structured to ensure white genetic survival. This survival plan necessitates the subjugation and control of all non-white peoples. I define this subjugation and control as the white supremacy system.
You're advocating for criminal activity, Quanell. These people are not here lawfully. They need to do what our ancestors did.
They come here to live and act like everybody else. Get in the back of the line like everybody else does. And be somebody.
And what many Mexicans have done.
Well, no,
Wait a minute. Many, don't interrupt me.
Bitch, ancestors came here legally. Wasn't nothing legal about your ancestors. They came illegally and they murdered, they raped, they pillaged a whole race of people. This country, Texas, Arizona, California, belonged to the Mexicans. It was stole from them.
Message.
You tell me to get back to the point.
They came here
No, you're not being fair to me here.
Your ancestors.
You go back to the black issue. Let's stay on topic.
Your ancestors are the master illegal immigrants.
Give me the.
That's why I love Nestle Crunch.
You know what? We're all Americans here. And if you are here legally, absolutely, then we need to come together.
Wow! The land of make-believe!
And we need to pass good laws for enforcing the laws.
Well, perhaps the Native Americans should have passed laws against your ancestors.
All around me are familiar faces.
We are not merely transferring power from one administration to another.
Go back to wherever the fuck you come from, lady. Y'all think you... Hey, tell them to go back where they belong. If they can't act like, they come here to live and act like everybody else. Get in the back of the line like everybody else does. And be somebody. And that's the way I look at it. You're nobodies. Just because you come from another country, it don't make you nobody. You're nobody. As far as I'm concerned, probably on welfare. The taxpayers probably paid for all that stuff. It's true. They probably paid. We probably paid for every bit of that stuff.
You're the one who's guilty. The lawmakers, the politicians, the Colombian drug lords, all you who lobby against making drugs legal, just like you did with alcohol during the Prohibition. You're the one who's guilty. I mean, come on, let's kick the ballistics here. Ain't no Uzis made in Harlem. I mean, not one of us in here owns a poppy field. This thing is bigger than Nino Brown. This is big business. This is the American way.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is how it's being represented, too. Is it like a glorious statue, or is it just a relic of history? Because, like, I think the debate is...
have you seen it?
No.
I haven't either. Let's look at it. Find out what's the statue of Robert E. Lee that they were taking down. I'm curious.
Me too.
What if he was like, found out he was like banging a slave? Oh, that's it? Torch-wielding protesters rally a Confederate statue. Yeah. Can we go large on that, buddy? Wow. That's a beautiful piece of art. You know, I mean, much like when you look at Genghis Khan, it's a beautiful piece of art. You know, you look at some of the statues and things that they constructed from back in his day. You think about it, you go, wow, this is a guy at war.
Yeah, who killed like 5% of the earth.
Yeah, something even crazier. I think he killed like 10% of the world's population while he was alive.
Yeah, this is a tough one because it's like because that is a rebel army we lost, so that should be taken down. But at the same time, it's like,
but what do you do with
it? Then do the Native Americans tell people to take down Washington? You know, then you start.
is. That's what civilization is. The reason why it all works so well is that we're all intertwined with each other, learning from each other, trying to figure out how to navigate this thing together, competing with each other, improving upon whatever the fuck it is we're working on because of the competition from all sorts of different parts of the world, different cultures and behavior patterns and levels of aggression, levels of intellect, and all of us combined in some sort of a swarming soup of innovation and ideas and communication and trying to figure this thing out together.
Moonman 1 is red headquarters. Are you ready to go? Yes, I'm ready to go. One small mankind, and I'm gonna leap the heck out of this moon rocket. That's a quote by Neil Armstrong. Hi, I'm Dr. Steve Brule, and today on Check It Out, we're gonna learn about something that you don't know about. It's called space. You think you know about it, it's all around you. Stars and suns and moons and planets and Earth and suns and planets and stars. Let's check it out. Shut the camera off, save the batteries.
Check it out!
Space. Didn't you always want to know about it? What could space be? What could it be made of? What the heck is all those lights out there? Is it just a black curtain with holes in it? I don't know. I'm trying to find out. That's why I went to an observatory to figure it out. I met there a guy who has the world's largest microscope for looking at space. He's a great astrologer, name of Dang. So this man named of Dang showed me around this big old dirty church where they have a microscope to look up close at stars. Look at me, there I am walking right there. So give it to me straight, Dangle. How big is the universe?
We don't really know. The universe may be infinite in size.
Tell me how this place started.
Well, there was a guy named George Hale who hiked up this mountain in 1903, and so he started it. He founded the Mount Wilson Observatory.
Can I ask you a very serious question?
Mm-hmm.
Where did you get this leather jacket?
It was a gift.
Hey, cool guy. So what are you all sitting up here on top of the rock wasting your time for? Everyone knows space is just a bunch of rocks and gas, right?
Well.
Gotcha.
Right.
What about in the old days, before they had a big dirty church full of junk to look at the stars? What did Galileo look through? What kind of microscope did he have?
Yeah, we have one of those here. It's an old refracting type telescope, and you can
check it out.
All right.
Space, 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 space. If you want to know about space, you have to know about the planets. If you want to know about the planets, you have to listen to me right now. Sun, Mercury, Uranus, water planets, Pluto, and this one they didn't have a name for it yet. It's too far away. You can name it if you want. You can name it Doris after my mom. If you want. It's up to you. What about aliens and UFOs? They could come from space too. Luckily, I have a neighbor who knows all about aliens. He told me he'd teach me about it if I gave him some milk. Have as much milk as you want.
Well, that's fine.
What do the aliens look like?
More. I know I'm part white, but this milk makes me whiter.
How did you learn so much about outer space, Daniel?
On my Caucasian side, I'm related to Orville and Wilbur Wright that made the airplane. And they got their back engineering technology from working with the Omegans and the Corindians and the Palladians.
Listen, Drangleheart. Doctor, tell me the truth about the aliens, because you don't have to sugarcoat it with me. I can take the truth. Tell me which ones are real and which ones are a bunch of baloney.
I'm telling you, I'm not lying. I was abducted. I'm telling you the truth.
Sounds like a bunch of mumbo-jumbo trash to me.
Because I've got this branding out there from being on Ancient Aliens and having the 2 shows on Gaia that are weekly shows, et cetera, et cetera. Look, this flat Earth thing is a fucking joke. Excuse my French. There is no flat Earth. If you walk from one side of the Earth to the other, or you sail in a sailboat, you're going to go back to where you started. Okay? You're not going to fall off the edge. And I'm sorry, but this whole thing is a deliberately designed con from the NSA groups in order that certain individuals in our community could be lured in by a narrative that's going to make them look absolutely troglodyte ridiculous to everybody else in our community who may be an awakening person to the truth. Look, we can go all the way back to Aristarchus and his simple depictions of the roundness of the earth using, stuff like a sextant and simple rods in the ground. And we can go into things like the Coriolis effect and the fact that when you fire a cannon that you have to bend the target from where you think it would go because the cannon's actually going to spin in the air based on the rotation of the round earth. And the thing that I find most ridiculous is probably a lot of the people that are putting this stuff out, the videos themselves are actually run by the government. They're made by government agents. And then the people who appear to be supporting those videos, they also are government agents. None of this stuff is true. You look at the moon, you can see it's a ball and that it's rotating, based on where the sun's phase angles are. So for God's sake, don't get sucked into the flat earth nonsense. It's just a joke.
I think you're right to say that there is a problem with this reactionary anti-conspiracy culture, meaning this tendency for people, especially in positions of power, to summarily dismiss what they call conspiracies without addressing what is being claimed on the merits. And that sort of leads to a disenchantment where people are feeling like certain information is being suppressed. And I think the 9/11 issue was a progenitor of that in a significant way.
Absolutely. Any kind of labeling that distracts people from critical thought is destructive, obviously. So I'm not here to debate the issue, but I will say that I don't even talk about the issue of 9/11 anymore because it's been so hideously conflated with, say, believing in the earth is flat or believing that there are reptiles that are in inner earth. So you can't have this discussion anymore. And I don't even try to because it ultimately doesn't matter to me.
Hello, Bill. My name is Peter. I live in Miami, and I have a hypothetical question for you. If we could clone or build a human brain atom by atom so that the second brain was an exact copy of the first brain, and we decided to clone Bill Nye, my question is, would the second brain also be Bill Nye, or do you think consciousness transcends the physical structure and biochemical processes of the brain? Thank you.
If I understand your question, we make a replica of Bill Nye's brain, very troubling at some level. I don't think there's any consciousness or soul.
Teachers have souls. I go to church. I'm a Christian.
Or awareness that exists outside of our physical brains.
You don't know me. You're not God.
This is a very difficult question to answer. Extraordinary claims are made on both sides. The molecular people like me and the spiritual people like others.
You're not God. You don't know who has a soul and who doesn't, all right? I'm a Christian.
But there's no reason to think, for me, there's no reason to think there's something beyond the physical brain.
That's your opinion.
What has been meant by the mystical state, the state of samadhi or awakening in certain traditions, is not this state of trance, but a state of consciousness in which you can perfectly well carry on your daily affairs. And of course, what is meant by a bodhisattva as the ideal type of Buddhist person is that he is not wrapped, that he is actively engaged in the life of the world, because he has gone beyond the illusion that nirvana is to be found away from everyday life. So what is then the point of meditation? Why meditate? Why do you have to crawl off into a hole, or go to a Zen monastery, or retire and be quiet, when this is only a withdrawal? Is there anything to be said for it? Well, meditation is, in that sense, as a practice, as a discipline, is a very curious problem. Because from one point of view it's a help, and from another point of view a hindrance. And I think we have to understand, first of all, that meditation exercises are medicinal rather than dietary. The same could be said of LSD. A medicine, not a diet. Something that is described in Zen as when you want to open a door, or summon someone to open the door for you, you pick up a brick and you knock on the door, but you don't carry the brick into the house. When you need a raft for crossing a stream, you cross the stream on the raft, but you leave the raft on the bank at the other side. You don't go carrying it around. But a lot of people, when they get into meditation, or they get into religion, or into any kind of exploration of this sort, turn the door into a revolving door and keep on going round and round and round and never get through. They say what a gas it is to be in this revolving door. So I think a good definition of a parasite is the person who goes through a revolving door on someone else's push. So there are all sorts of people in the religious racket who are going through revolving doors. It works like this. If you go to a teacher and ask for spiritual instruction, or even if you come to a seminar like this, you are, by doing that, confusing yourself. because you are looking for what you're asking for outside, as if someone else could give it to you, as if you didn't have it. So the teacher knows that as long as you do that, you haven't understood. But he doesn't just tell you to go away. Or he may sometimes just say, go away, I'm too busy. And in any case, I can't tell you anything. Well, people won't take that for an answer. They won't take no for an answer. And furthermore, if he just said, go away, they would just find some other teacher who would exploit them and maybe keep them as followers for years and acquire a great deal of money by so doing. But what he does is another thing. He tries to give them the put down, as if to say, you have a great long distance to go yet. Your attainment is not at all perfect. And they're always talking about other sects and other schools and saying, well, they haven't really got the point, you see? So that you keep losing faith in yourself and feeling, my goodness, I haven't yet attained this thing. And that keeps you working. But all the time, you're being talked out. It's like someone who's a pickpocket and he's stolen your own watch and is selling it to you. But just so long as you can be talked out of yourself, you deserve to be.
I told you. It's raining. That's unbelievable. Oh, NASA's playing God. It's making its own weather.
HAARP can create low-pressure and high-pressure systems at will that can create hurricanes, tornadoes, and rainfall and steer them to any place on the planet.
You know, they were talking about climate change yesterday, and now we're learning that scientists and researchers are looking at how to change the weather on purpose. That's right. Lasers now could one day manipulate rain and lightning. CBS This Morning contributor Michio Kaku is a physics professor at City College of New York. Professor, nice to see you. Extraordinary seeing Al Gore and Bill Clinton there together with Charlie, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, they did not get into this discussion,
no.
though. But it is fascinating. I mean, lasers, really, to change the weather?
That's right. Well, as Mark Twain once famously said, everyone complains about the weather, but no one ever does anything about it. Well, instead of doing a rain dance, we physicists are firing trillion-watt lasers into the sky.
We physicists are firing trillion-watt lasers into the sky.
What? You're not my dad!
To actually precipitate rain clouds and actually bring down lightning bolts. This is potentially a game changer.
But this is experimental. But this is experimental.
We physicists are firing trillion-watt lasers into the sky.
But this is experimental.
It's experimental, however, in the laboratory so far it works. We physicists are firing trillion-watt lasers into the sky.
Fuck off!
When you have water vapor and you have dust particles or ice crystals, you can precipitate rain. It condenses around the seeds. These seeds can also be created by laser beams. By firing trillion-watt lasers, you rip apart the electrons, creating what are called ions, and these ions act like seeds, like dust particles.
Hello, I'm Brian Franchi, host of the Unbelievable Podcast, and this is the HAARP Conspiracy Theory explained in less than 2 minutes.
We physicists are firing trillion-watt lasers into the sky.
HAARP, aka the High Frequency active Auroral Research Project is a government-funded 180 antenna array located in Gakona, Alaska that shoots powerful beams of radio frequency into the sky to study the ionosphere. HAARP is officially designated as a harmless scientific research facility, but is secretly being used to jam communication systems, create devastating military weapons, control the weather, affect our moods, change our mental states, and control our mind. It also acts as a heater that microwaves the ionosphere, creating high-pressure areas that pull up the stratosphere, potentially destroying satellites, meteors, and missiles while simultaneously displacing the jet stream. Using this technology in conjunction with other ionospheric heaters around the world, HAARP can create low-pressure and high-pressure systems at will that can create hurricanes, tornadoes, and rainfall and steer them to any place on the planet. Additionally, utilizing HAARP's Earth-penetrating tomography, high-energy electromagnetic pulses can be shot into the ground, accelerating the release of energy stored in the crust, creating earthquakes. Using HAARP in this way, the government, in conjunction with large corporations, were able to manufacture Hurricane Sandy, Hurricane Katrina, the Fukushima disaster, the earthquake in Haiti, and profit off the destruction by investing in weather derivatives and catastrophe reinsurance. HAARP's mind control works by shooting extremely low-frequency waves into our brains that harmonize with specific predetermined chemicals to amplify their potency and produce desired mental states that can range from fear of the dark to extreme complacency. The government disperses the chemicals needed to create a desired mental state ahead of time using chemtrails or contaminating our food and water supply. Using mind control in conjunction with weather manipulation, satellite destruction, and catastrophic devastation of our food and energy supplies creates a helpless, hungry, complacent population completely and utterly subservient to the power elite. The U.S. Air Force is officially shutting down HAARP in 2014. However, it is leaving open the possibility of transferring control of the facility to private interests. There are many other ionospheric heaters located throughout the world, including new portable versions which allow the government to continue its work from anywhere on Earth.
Bringing down rain and even lightning.
Go ahead.
Well, this fascinates me in part because, too, I remember reading the stories that China had used this during the Olympics, that the USSR had used this after Chernobyl to create rain clouds. I mean, did those really work then? We have some of these capabilities now?
Inconclusive. Even in the 60s, the CIA used this to bring down monsoons during the Vietnam War, to wash out the Viet Cong. Governments have been playing with this thing.
Alleged to.
Alleged to. Alleged to. Alleged to.
Why the fuck you lying?
Yeah.
Now, we realize that for decades now, these governments have been alleged to have experimented with weather control.
Great job.
But nothing conclusive. This time we're bringing in the laws of physics rather than simply waving our hands and uttering mumbo jumbo. We're actually using trillion-watt lasers now.
NASA's playing God.
And in the laboratory, sure enough, they precipitate rain out of water vapor. Sure enough, you can actually bring down electricity down the beam.
So what does it mean for drought areas that need to have rain for crops? And if they don't have them, there's the consequences of famine.
Oh, wait.
Saving your life.
Well, the bad news is if it's a clear blue sky, it's not going to do anything at all because it only takes water vapor that's already in the air and condenses it.
If you can't hear what I'm saying, I couldn't even hear myself. This is the loudest sound you could possibly conceive. And, as it turns out, the cleanest. Now, the most amazing thing is that that cloud up there, which was generated by the engine, is just a mixture of hydrogen and oxygen. It's water vapor. And in about an hour's time, someone in Mississippi is going to get wet washing. It will actually rain.
I told you. It's raining. That's unbelievable. Oh. NASA's playing God. It's making its own weather.
However, for floods, for agriculture, farmers, for people planning wedding parties, football games, you name it, outdoor events and agriculture and flooding and even hurricanes. All of them could be subject to weather modification.
The abuses of the priests are being filmed everywhere. There was an Italian underground film, and I am sure you saw that, a priest running naked over there. And they don't really bother to investigate. There is no condemnation, nothing. The shoulder of the priest and the religious people doing the shenanigans, well, it is as if it's just a part of the show of the night.
And the 5-year-old kid, they're patting him down. He's going,
"What are you doing? You're not a priest. Let go of me."
I see. So you've had a problem too, I guess. Father Pat's little private pat and chat's like, "Good game, boy. Good game. Good game. Wash up to me. Really wash up." It's amazing they would catch them. And it wasn't just enough to catch them, but they had the Divine Witness Protection Program. You know, find the priest, here's the pedophile, here's the priest, find the pedophile, find the priest, find the pedophile, there, move them around. Here we go, we're going to say to make a. Don't you let them make them in trouble. Here we go. Don't you ask, don't you tell, you might end up right in hell. Here we go, here we go. Here's your check direct from Rome, buy yourself a brand new home, moving around, moving around.
Is it liberality? Is it because you do not want to condemn your own countrymen? Or is it because the victims were just natives? Never mind about them. We were considered natives. So and sometimes pictured as apes.
All right, move on. Nothing to see here. Please disperse. Nothing to see here, please.
See, I have a real problem about all of this. I mean, see, to me, he was like a virus, a disease. But when I think about it, because I spent a lot of time protesting, trying to figure out how to deal with this disease. But I think that we really need to put serious thought into understanding that we're dealing with a disease. You know, it's like there's this predator energy on this planet. And this predator energy feeds upon the essence of the spirit, feeds upon the essence of the human being, the spirit. Now, this predator energy can take fossil fuel and other resources out of the earth, turn it into fuel to run a machine system. But in order for there to be a need for that system, and in order for that system to work, they have to mine our minds to get at the essence of our spirit. And the same way the external mining takes place, it pollutes. We see now, people understand how it poisons the environment, the water, the air, pollution. The mining of the essence, the mining of the spirit, mining our minds, the pollution from that is all of the neurotic, distorted, insecure behavior patterns that we develop. That's the pollution. Because in order for this predatory system, this disease, to work, we must not be able to use our minds in a clear, coherent manner. Because if we use our minds in a clear, coherent manner, we will not accept the unacceptable. But it's a disease, lives and travels through the mind, through the generations.
You okay? Well, I hope this has been beneficial. I hope you enjoyed the discussion.
That's your opinion.